My name is Amir Estawro. I'm Egyptian, been in Hong Kong for the past 12 years. I work in technology in a major bank in Hong Kong, and I'm a husband and I'm a dad for a 2 years old son. SAT-7 impacted me a lot growing up. I grew up in a Christian family in a very small town in the south of Egypt. Our church is quite small. The only access for big conferences, Christian media, was through SAT-7. Almost every home in Egypt have satellite, even before internet, and SAT-7 was the only channel that would stream Christian media, and I was encouraged a lot by all the encouraging messages, teaching I received when I was young. It was different as I grew up. When I was young, it was definitely the Bible teaching, the kind of youth programs. As I mentioned earlier, growing up, SAT-7 was the only Christian satellites that we get access to, mainly the main media source that we get access from. A lot of testimonies, a lot of encouraging messages, a lot of worship songs that is building my faith came through SAT-7. As I grew up and moved from the small city to Cairo, it was a main source of also listening to the biggest churches in Egypt and conferences. And as I moved to Hong Kong 12 years ago, it's still the main source of getting digital data, digital songs. The time I get my son to listen to is always through SAT-7. SAT-7 is a great source of sharing God's gospel in my life and in my family's life. Most kind of programs I listened to growing up, it was one, I think, was streaming of online churches. And the key churches that I love to listen to in Cairo was far, it was 9 hours away by train. I could only listen to it via SAT-7 and satellite. I also listened to a lot of really good, encouraging, building conferences, Christian conferences in Egypt. That includes One Thing and Ihsabha Sah. Also, most of the worship songs that I listen to are recorded and streamed via SAT-7. And also, now, being a dad, most of the programs that my son watches and listens to are recorded and streamed via SAT-7. Previously, I used to listen a lot to satellite, but now, being in Hong Kong and not much satellite, it's online being the main reason and way and mean to listen to SAT-7. Those are the key kind of programs I attend. I would definitely recommend SAT-7 to others. One, because it caters to many age groups, caters to kids, and my son listens a lot to SAT-7 and watches a lot of the programs. It caters to youth, it caters to families, and I watch a lot of programs to families. It also caters to different needs and walks in life. If you are non-Christian and just want to know more about the basic of Christianity, SAT-7 does that perfectly and nicely. If you are Christian and want to be built in the Word, SAT-7 does this. If you are an Arabic speaker, I would definitely encourage you to watch SAT-7. It's a must to be built up and grow in the Bible and your faith as well. Being Egyptian and being Hong Konger, I would say I would love to connect the two cultures, usually through family and what I learn in Egypt and what I see in Hong Kong as well, mostly around family, taking care of parents, taking care of your immediate family and putting that first. Those are two things I see in Hong Kong, in Egypt, and I love that about the two cultures. I would say SAT-7 is very important in Egypt and the whole Middle East. And all Arabic speakers everywhere, like myself. SAT-7 reaches every home. In Egypt, it's quite poor country still, and every home had a satellite. They might not have an internet, they might not go to church, they might not be even Christian, but almost every home in Egypt have a satellite. And if you are a parent, even if you're not Christian, you are very likely to open SAT-7 and let your kids watch an honest, a good media done for your kids. And SAT-7 does this perfectly and could be a light for every home, for every parent, for every family, that they might never hear the message of God in any other mean. Now being in Hong Kong, I don't really watch satellite TV stations a lot or even at all. but I still interact with SAT-7 on a daily basis. It is a channel I use to listen to Arabic worship songs, to Arabic Christian conferences and churches. It's also the channel and the way I could also teach my kids a lot of the Christian faith and basics. I do this via online. SAT-7, if I would say, maybe responsible on 50% on the Christian Arabic media. That's amazing. There is no other media streaming company does what SAT-7 does. The Christian faith in Egypt is quite strong. There is about 10% of the total population in Egypt. About 10 million Christians live in Egypt. And faith, I think, through a lot of turmoil, a lot of economical challenges, is actually getting people closer to God, on their knees, united and seeking God. And God is reaching to many people and many homes and many families in Egypt, in churches. And SAT-7 has a big role to play in this, streaming and sharing the gospel of God.